In a world where masculinity is questioned, challenged, and at times redefined, one question stands above the noise. What truly makes a man valuable in 2025? Is it money, status, power? Or is it something deeper, quieter, something invisible yet undeniable? Welcome to the channel. If you're tired of the surface-level advice, if you've had enough of vague motivational quotes and empty Instagram mantras, then you've come to the right place. Today we're diving into a deep, gripping exploration of what it really takes to become a high-value man. Not just in theory, but in the unforgiving real world of 2025. By the end of this video, you won't just know the 8 transformative habits, you'll feel them pressing against your life, demanding change. But first, let's shatter an illusion. Somewhere in a sleek apartment, a man scrolls through endless content on how to be alpha, his bedroom filled with the echo of hollow bravado. He has the watches, the curated online persona, the gym selfies, but late at night something gnaws at him. He's still unfulfilled, still anxious, still doubting himself. And the reason is brutally simple. The habits he's been told to adopt are performative, not transformative. Because real power, it isn't loud, it's earned, one decision at a time. Now imagine standing in front of a mirror. You see the same face, the same eyes. But what if you could transform everything behind them? What if each habit you choose could recalibrate your destiny, elevate your relationships, and command respect without you even asking for it? This isn't fiction. It's neuroscience, psychology, and history coming together to forge a new kind of man, one built not on noise but on depth. Let's go back to 1775. In the midst of revolution, a young man named Alexander Hamilton arrives in New York with nothing but letters of recommendation and raw ambition. Within a few years, he's writing documents that shape a nation, not because he was born powerful, but because he cultivated habits that made him indispensable. Discipline, vision, conviction. These weren't buzzwords, they were the fuel of his transformation. And today, in a digital battlefield saturated with distraction, those ancient virtues are more relevant than ever. You see, 2025 isn't like any year before it. We're living in a time of paradox. Infinite connection but growing isolation. Constant stimulation but deep inner numbness. The average man is drowning in opinions, comparison, and noise. That's why becoming high value now doesn't mean being the loudest, it means being the clearest, the most focused. The man who knows who he is when others are still scrolling to find themselves. But here's the first twist. The journey doesn't begin with strength, it begins with silence. In a small monastery in Japan, a monk wakes before dawn, not to chant, not to pray, but to sweep the stone path outside the temple. Why? Because he believes that clearing the path is clearing the mind. There's wisdom in that. High-value men don't just build external empires, they tend to the inner terrain. And one of the most overlooked habits in modern life is the practice of intentional stillness. Meditation, breathwork, reflection, not because it's trendy, but because clarity has become a rare and lethal weapon in a distracted age. When you can be still while the world shakes, you become unshakable, but stillness alone is not enough. Because the second habit isn't quiet, it's ruthless. We're talking about self-respect. Not the kind that comes from compliments or claps, but the kind that refuses to negotiate with laziness, excuses, or mediocrity. In 2025, self-respect is forged in the furnace of boundaries. How you let others treat you, how you treat your own time. Do you scroll through your mornings or do you own them? High-value men audit their time like kings guarding their kingdom. Every hour spent in weakness is an hour stolen from greatness. Think of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrote meditations during a plague, while commanding armies while enduring betrayal. He didn't have a podcast, he had discipline, and that habit, it radiates across centuries. Still, there's a third trait, one that scares most men to the bone: vulnerability. Now you might flinch at that word, because for decades we've been taught that vulnerability is weakness, but that's a lie. Controlled vulnerability, intentional, brave, and raw, is the bridge between charisma and connection. In relationships, in leadership, in storytelling, it's the difference between being followed and being forgotten. The high-value man of 2025 doesn't hide behind facades. He chooses when and how to be open. He lets people see his scars because he knows that scars are the proof he's survived, that he's real, that he's earned his wisdom. And speaking of wisdom, Let's talk about something even rarer than intelligence: emotional regulation. In a time where outrage is monetized and drama is currency, nothing commands attention like calm. The man who doesn't overreact, who doesn't fold under pressure, who doesn't let his emotions govern him, but instead learns to govern his emotions. This isn't coldness, it's command, and neuroscience backs it up. Studies show that men who actively train their prefrontal cortex through journaling, therapy, or meditation have higher rates of success, better relationships, and lower stress responses. So why don't more men pursue this? Because mastering emotions requires facing them, and facing them requires courage most never cultivate. But those who do, they become magnetic, not because they fake confidence, but because they carry peace like a weapon. Now picture this: a crowded boardroom, a heated negotiation, people yelling, posturing, sweating, and one man sits quietly, observing, breathing, and when he speaks, everyone stops. That silence he carries, it's not emptiness, it's power. And that brings us to one of the rarest habits of all: delayed gratification. In a culture engineered for instant pleasure, choosing long-term reward is rebellion. When you train yourself to wait, to work in the shadows while others seek validation, you gain something that no algorithm can replicate: resilience. The men who rise in 2025 won't be the ones who go viral. They'll be the ones who go deep, who plant seeds others laugh at, and harvest results others can't explain. But even that is just the beginning. The world doesn't reward potential, it rewards proof. And that's why the next habit is often misunderstood, mocked, or dismissed: relentless self-education. Not just reading books for quotes to post on social media, but studying life like a philosopher trapped in a warrior's body. Imagine a man walking through the ruins of Athens, dust coating his boots, echoing the footsteps of Socrates. He isn't there for pictures. He's searching for the origin of ideas. That hunger for depth, for wisdom beyond trends, is what separates those who pretend to be high value from those who embody it. Because in 2025, information is everywhere, but discernment is rare. The ability to separate noise from signal, truth from illusion, surface from substance. That's not just intellectual, it's spiritual. And the high-value man makes it a daily discipline. One chapter a day, one uncomfortable question, one dive into a subject no one else dares to touch. Over time, that becomes armor. And when life throws chaos at him, as it always does, he doesn't crumble. He adapts, he learns, he evolves. But knowledge without action is paralysis. That's why the next habit may sound ancient, but it's more vital than ever: physical mastery. This isn't about abs, it's about command. The way a man walks into a room, the way his posture speaks before his mouth ever opens. Strength has a language, and the gym, the track, the martial arts mat, those are modern temples where discipline is carved into muscle fiber, and failure becomes fuel. In 2025, where most men are weakening from sedentary lives, processed food, and digital addiction, the high-value man treats his body like a sacred weapon, not to intimidate, but to protect, to perform, to persevere. Think of the Spartans not just for their physique, but for their code. Every sweat-soaked repetition is a whisper from the past: endure, adapt, overcome. You don't build confidence by yelling affirmations in the mirror. You build it by keeping promises to yourself when no one is watching. And that brings us to a habit almost extinct in modern culture: strategic solitude. This is the art of disappearing, not to escape, but to recharge. High-value men retreat not out of weakness, but out of strength. They understand that clarity comes in still waters, not in constant chatter. So they vanish from the party. They shut off the notifications. They walk into nature with nothing but silence and questions. And when they return sharper. In ancient Africa, tribal initiations required boys to survive alone in the wilderness, to return as men. Today, the wilderness is psychological. It's the dark night of the soul, the time spent in self-confrontation, and very few survive it. But those who do come back with vision, with a purpose etched into their skin like battle scars, and people can feel it, because there's something magnetic about a man who's been alone with his demons and won. Now pause for a moment. Take a breath. Let's ask a dangerous question. What if everything you've been taught about masculinity was meant to distract you from its true power? Because here's the truth. Being high value isn't about being admired, it's about being aligned with your values, with your mission, with your truth. And the final habit, the one that binds all others, is this: purpose obsession, not passion, because passion fades. Purpose endures. Purpose is what wakes you before the alarm, what pulls you out of bed when motivation is dead. It's the fire in your chest when the world tries to blow you out. And high-value men in 2025, they don't stumble through life hoping to feel inspired. They engineer their days around their purpose. Every calendar event, every connection, every commitment, they all orbit that central star. Think of Elon Musk sleeping on factory floors. Think of David Goggins running through broken feet. Think of Viktor Frankl writing about meaning from inside a Nazi concentration camp. Purpose isn't a luxury, it's oxygen. Without it, a man suffocates slowly. With it, he becomes unstoppable. And in a time when most drift from dopamine hit to dopamine hit, the man who is obsessed with something bigger than himself, he becomes a force of nature, a lighthouse in the fog. A leader others follow not because they're told to, but because they want to. But don't be fooled. Purpose doesn't feel good every day. It's lonely, it's exhausting, it's full of sacrifice. And that's what makes it rare. Because high-value men aren't chasing ease, they're chasing excellence. They bleed for what they believe in. And that blood, that sacrifice, is the ink that writes their legacy. So here we are, at the edge of the map. 8 habits that aren't just tips, they're transformations. Stillness, self-respect, vulnerability, emotional regulation, delayed gratification, self-education, physical mastery, purpose obsession. Each one a gate, each one a test. And the question is no longer, can you do it? The question is, will you? Because somewhere out there, a man just like you is listening to this right now. He's tired of mediocrity, tired of the lies. He's not waiting for approval. He's not begging for motivation. He's standing up, right now, choosing one habit, just one. And in a year, he won't recognize the man in the mirror. He'll be stronger, sharper, stoic, focused, dangerous in the best way. Why? Because he stopped chasing value, and became it. Let's slow things down for a moment. You've now heard the 8 habits. Maybe you're fired up. Maybe your mind is racing with ideas. Or maybe, just maybe, something deeper has stirred. A quiet voice, one you've ignored for years, finally whispering, this is who you were meant to be. Because what you've just heard isn't a motivational checklist, it's a mirror. And mirrors don't lie. They reflect back what you've become and what you've refused to become. That's the uncomfortable truth about becoming a high-value man in 2025. It requires painful honesty. You have to ask yourself, what have I allowed to grow in me? What have I allowed to die? Think of it like this. There are 2 versions of you walking side by side. One is the man you are now, shaped by comfort, avoidance, distraction. The other is the man you were born to be, scarred, wise, resolute. Every decision you make pushes one version forward and buries the other. Every habit you build chisels that ideal self out of stone or lets it fade back into the fog of what could have been. Let's go even deeper. Have you ever wondered why people gravitate towards certain men without even knowing why? It's not the haircut, it's not the car, it's not the jawline, it's presence. It's that intangible energy of someone who has mastered himself. You can't fake it, you can't borrow it, you earn it. Through the rituals, the routines, the habits we've explored today. And let's be real, most won't do it. Most will watch this video, feel inspired for an hour, and then go back to scrolling, numbing, consuming. Because transformation is terrifying. It demands the death of the old self. It asks you to confront the version of you that says, this is just who I am. It takes that version by the throat and replies, no. This is who you've settled to be, now rise. In the ancient legend of the phoenix, the bird is consumed by flame only to rise reborn from the ashes. But what people forget is this: the fire is not optional. To become new, you must first burn. Old excuses, old habits, old identities. You can't step into your future while dragging the corpse of your past. And the men who become high value don't just accept this, they seek it out. They enter the fire willingly, because they know pain is temporary, but power is permanent. Now let's imagine a scene. It's 10 years from now. You walk into a room, the energy shifts, people pause. Not because of what you wear or what you say, but because of who you've become. Your silence carries weight. Your words carry meaning. You don't need to dominate the room, you command it. And the path that brought you here? It wasn't luck, it wasn't shortcuts. It was the habits you began building right now, today, in this very moment. And that's the haunting truth. 1 year from now, you will become a stranger to your current self, or you will still be a prisoner to him. The difference? Discipline. Focus. The refusal to die an average man in an extraordinary time. Remember, 2025 isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's already here. The world is moving, the economy is shifting. The relationships around you are either strengthening or rotting in silence. And amidst that chaos, you have a choice: drift or design, survive or lead. Watch others rise, or become the man others watch. So what now? You turn this off. You stand up. And you do one thing, just one, that aligns with the high-value version of yourself. Maybe it's throwing out the junk food. Maybe it's opening the book you've ignored. Maybe it's walking into the gym and training like your life depends on it, because in a way it does. Maybe it's writing down your vision. Maybe it's finally cutting ties with that draining relationship. Whatever it is, do it now, and then tomorrow do it again. Because becoming a high-value man is not a moment. It's a movement. And it starts with you. Not someday. Not when it's convenient. Not when you feel like it. Now. And if you're still here, still watching, then you already know this wasn't just another self-help list. This was a reckoning, a wake-up call. And the best part? It's not too late. You haven't missed your shot. You're not too broken. You're not too lost. You're exactly where you need to be to begin. So become the storm, become the calm. Become the man who walks into history not as a bystander, but as a force. Because in 2025, the world doesn't need more noise, it needs more men of value. And now, it needs you. If this message stirred something in you, if you're ready to step into your potential and begin your own transformation, then hit subscribe, share this with a brother who needs it, and let us know in the comments. What habit will you begin today? Until next time, build, rise, and become.